Hey guys, it's Jess and welcome to my YouTube channel, Hello by DIY, where I share tutorials on how you can create decor pieces for your house without breaking the bank. I use mostly supplies from the Dollar Tree, and today I have 4 different DIY projects for you using mostly products from the Dollar Tree. These are going to be Christmas themed since we're getting into the holiday season, so I'll have the timestamps down below in case you want to jump from one project to the next, but let's go ahead and get started with project number 1. All right, let's get into the first DIY. So I picked up this wooden star from the Dollar Tree and I have some jute twine. I'm just taking a little bit of the twine, putting it through the hole that the tag was on, tying a little knot to hold it in place, and then going to freaking town, putting a ton of twine on this, you guys. This took way more twine than I thought, I will be totally honest. I don't know what I was expecting, but it took more than I thought it was going to take. So just keep that in mind. You're going to need a lot. I didn't have like a new container of the 3-pack from Dollar Tree, so I'm really not sure exactly how much it would be, but you definitely can get twine at the Dollar Tree, and it comes in huge packs. It's like 3 rolls of the twine, and then each of them is like a really long length. I'm not sure exactly how long off the top of my head, but yeah, you just go crazy. I started kind of doing different things here. So I wanted to keep this in just because I wanted you guys to see that there's like a whole lot of different techniques here that you can do. The first part that I started out with, I was just wrapping around that one point of the star. Then I kind of switched to going like crisscross and diagonal across the star and trying to fill it in that way. Then I went back to the point because I did want the edges and everything to be coated. So I did go in with some hot glue in certain areas and get the things to stay down where I wanted them, because the twine does have a tendency to kind of move or get loose, especially when you're changing directions and things like that. So just keep that in mind as you are filling this in. Now, I'm going to be totally honest. I could not get the center area covered. No matter what I did, I couldn't get that center part covered. So I'm just going to put a big giant bell on top of it. Didn't bother me at all because this was my plan, but I wanted to create this rustic ornament, and this worked out perfectly. But if you're going to display this just by itself, you may want to explore other options. I don't know how to do it, but somehow it's got to work somehow. So this ornament I picked up at the Dollar Tree. I didn't make any changes to it. I just glued it right on there. And then I had these bows already tied. These ribbons are from probably Joann, maybe Michael's, but I've had them for years, and I just really wanted to use them, and they match the whole like rustic sort of country, like kind of farmhouse sort of Christmas vibe, and so I really wanted to go with that. I just used a little hot glue to attach those, and there you have it. That is the first DIY. It is super simple, but I think it packs a really big punch as far as appearance goes. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments below, and if you think you might try it. On to the second DIY. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube already this year using this sled or sleigh hanging tag thing, sign, door sign, I don't know, from the Dollar Tree, and I decided I wanted to make my own. So I'm just using some fine grit sandpaper to sand off all the glittery parts because I wanted to Mod Podge some paper onto my sled. I could have just painted the whole thing, and in hindsight, I almost wish that I had just painted it because I actually really like the way the back of the sled turns out, so stay tuned to see what that looks like. So I'm using a whole boatload of Mod Podge here, and I'm just going to go ahead and plop the sign directly onto my paper. Now, I did accidentally get some Mod Podge on my desktop, and it ripped my paper on the front, but I wasn't too worried about it. It didn't really bother me too much. Now, do be careful if you've taken the little legs off of, or the ski leg things, I don't know what they're called, of the sled, because there were like tiny little nails in there, and I caught my finger on it a few times before I realized that that's what it was. So just be careful if you take those off. Check out the nails. Use like a little pair of pliers or tweezers, or I think I used my wire cutters for it. Then I'm just using a piece of sandpaper to rub off the paper on the outer edges. you always want to make sure that you kind of go in a downward motion away from your project so that it doesn't peel up the edges. But you can sometimes go side to side if your glue and all of that is really dry. Just because if you do it before it's dry, it hasn't had a chance to really adhere, you might catch one of the edges and it might rip your paper. So just be careful, kind of test it out, be prepared that you might have some issues at the beginning when you first try it. So I'm doing the same thing here with the little top of the sled part. So I put this on like warp speed because it's the same exact thing. I'm just doing it again. You can always cut away the extra paper if you find that it's bothering you. And that's kind of what I did there because I was having a little bit of trouble getting to the area that I was trying to sand down, but I'm actually really happy with the way that it turned out. I really like it. So we had these paint sticks on hand. I didn't have to go buy them or anything, but you can get them at Walmart in like a pack of, I don't know, 3 or something for like less than $1, I think. So they're very inexpensive. You can definitely pick them up on the cheap. This is just what I had because we bought a house recently and have been painting a lot. So I'm using some of this chalk paint in a gray color. I'm going to go ahead and paint the paint sticks. And I was really surprised, pleasantly surprised, that this covered all of that black text in one coat. I didn't have to recoat it, which is awesome. So once those were nice and dry, I did take the white paint. This is also a chalk paint, and I'm just using it with a dry brush. I kind of pounce off or dab off a little bit of the paint onto that little laminated piece of paper there before I take it to my surface, and that kind of gives you that dry brushed look where it has the weathered wood effect. I really, really like the way that that looks, and I was really happy with the way these colors worked together. I think I'm going to be using these two colors together a whole lot more, so you'll probably be sick of them by the time I'm done with them, but whatever, I like them, they make me happy, so I'm going to do it. All right, so once I got them dry brushed, I did go ahead and set them aside to dry completely, and I moved on to the back of my sled. Now, where I ripped the little ski leg things off, it was a little bit raised. I tried to peel everything off the best I could, but I decided to take some sandpaper and sand it down a little bit. I didn't need it to be perfect. Number one, this is the back of the sled. Number two, part of it's going to be covered by the little legs. And number three, the weathered sort of distressed effect works for this because the whole thing is sort of like shabby, whatever, that rustic feel. And then I decided to go ahead and paint the back of it. I really wasn't sure at first what I was going to do, if I was going to leave it like plain as is, but it really sold me that I needed to paint it when the cardboard stuff didn't come off very well. It just wasn't appealing to me, and I don't like to have a project that's not completely finished. I would really prefer to have it be pretty from all angles, especially if I'm going to be setting it on the fireplace rather than hanging it on the door. I tested it out with both ways, like of displaying it, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to go with yet, but you could definitely use this as basically a wreath, like a door hanger, or you could set it like on your fireplace, on your mantle, anywhere, or hang it on your wall, which is really cool. So just using that paintbrush, making a huge mess because I'm an idiot and I didn't know how to paint it all at once. I should have just painted one side, waited for it to dry, and then turned it and done the sides, but I'm impatient and I don't like to wait, so I just got my hands all painted instead. Once the back of it was mostly dry, I did go ahead and do the dry brushing here. You can see that some of the paint is sort of blending together because it wasn't completely dry. Again, I'm impatient. Sorry. If you don't like that look, then just wait a little longer and it will dry and it won't look like that. I started going side to side on this, and then I realized that that would not make sense because I had done the sled part of it vertically. So I did try to change that, and I ended up with kind of like a big white blob on the top there, but it's all right. I just added a little more white to the sled part and called it a day. All right. I'm going to be totally real with you guys. E6000 is my enemy. I do not like it. I can never get it to work. And also the smell is horrific. It gives me a headache almost instantly, and I really don't like it. So I am going to be finding a different adhesive to use because for me personally, it just really bothers me. What I did here is I used the E6000. Then I put a strip of hot glue over it. And I was hoping that by doing this, I would be able to the hot glue would bond to keep it still until the E6000 dried. It sort of worked, but I kind of expected it to work better. It didn't work as well as I wanted. And then I did have to go back and add more hot glue on the sides, like where the seam of where the leg met the base of the sled, just to make sure that it wasn't wobbly, because I was having trouble with them. I just didn't feel like it was very sturdy. Okay, so once I adhered the legs, then I was ready to go ahead and move on to decorating the front of my sled here. So I got this premium pick from the Dollar Tree. I really, really like these ones. They're like pretty good. They've got pine cones, they've got berries, they've got the greenery and leaves. I thought it was really impressive for just $1. You know, you can get nice ones from Joann or whatever if you want to step it up a notch, but those are sometimes 3 or 4 or 5 times the price. And you can sometimes use coupons on them, or sometimes they're on sale, but for just $1, I thought it was totally worth it. I bent the stem and added some twine around the stem so that it didn't just look like a gross, ugly stem. And then now I'm using some of this really cute like fabric sort of ribbon that I picked up at Joann. I got this 70% off. They were having some sort of sale. I don't know. They're always having some sort of sale. And I got it 70% off. So I thought, why the heck not? I thought it would kind of match with my little rustic sort of Christmas theme that I was going for. And I really like it. I thought it turned out super cute. So I just used a piece of twine in the middle there and tied the center together so that they wouldn't come apart. And then now I'm kind of just flipping down the little tails that were hiding inside the loops. I'm just putting those in a position that I like, and then moving on to the larger tails as well. Now, once I got the tails in the place that I wanted, I did go ahead and take a pair of scissors. I fold the bottom of the tail in half and then cut from the center down towards the outside at an angle. And this gives you that perfect little like fishtail triangular angled bow thing. I don't know what it's called, but I think it looks really cute. I really like it, and it makes it look much more finished and professional, in my opinion. All right, so then I went ahead and attached it to my little wreath thing. It's not a wreath. I don't know what this is called. My floral arrangement. I am obviously not a professional, you guys. I just do what I think looks okay, and hopefully you guys think it looks okay too. If not, tell me all about it in the comments. But I decided that the thinner ribbon was a little bit too long. I don't know. It just looked weird to me. So I just creased it down the middle and I made it into 2 loops instead. And I felt like that worked a lot better. I liked the way that it looked, and it kind of fluffed up the bow and made it more interesting. I just used a little bit of hot glue to hold it in place. Now I'm using this door hanger thing that has jingle bells on it. I'm using the same white chalk paint, painting the heck out of it just to turn it white so that it would match the white bell on our star DIY that we did first. If I had been thinking about this, I would have done this totally differently, because then I was stuck holding these little bells and my hands got all painted. Big surprise, my hands are always getting painted. But here we are. And then I couldn't figure out how to let them dry. I didn't know what to do with them. There's a better way to do this, I'm sure. Whatever it is, again, I'll have to keep experimenting. Once I got them painted, I went ahead and set them aside to dry, and then I'm using this giant nautical rope. I wish that there was a better way to do this, and I'm sure that there is, so if you guys have suggestions, leave it in the comments. But I just sort of hot glued it against the edge of the little runner pieces there, and that was my handle. I wish it looked a little more aesthetically pleasing in the back, but it is what it is. Okay, so then my little bells were finally dry. I went ahead and applied them or adhered them to the sled. I wanted to make sure that I liked the placement first. So I placed them and then I just put the little dot of hot glue and made sure that it would stick. That way I knew the placement was good and I didn't have to worry about my hot glue drying before I found the place I liked. That finishes off the sled, you guys. I love how it turned out. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Do you like it better as a door decor piece or as something to sit on the mantle or the fireplace, or maybe even hang on the wall? I'd love to hear what you guys would do with this if you had one. All right, so on to DIY number 3. I'm going to be 100% upfront with you guys. This did not turn out how I wanted at all. I wanted to keep it in here in case maybe this is your thing, but I don't think this is my favorite, and I don't think that it really worked out how I intended. So I'm going to put a picture here of what kind of inspired me to make this. I've been seeing some rustic DIY ornaments, well, not even DIY, at the fancy stores. They've got all these like rustic star ornaments with twine, and they're very simple, all of that. And I tried to recreate that using these little wooden dowels from the Dollar Tree. Unfortunately, what ended up happening is it looks like I was creating some sort of like pentagram or voodoo star. I don't even know, but it looked freaky. My husband came in and was like, "What the heck are you doing? What are you making? What is that supposed to be? And should I be afraid?" So first impression, not so great. I did try to go back after I did all of these like little loopy knot things. You can see it's starting to get a little freaky looking. I felt like I should have a voodoo doll or something. Seriously, you guys. I don't know. I kept trying to add things to make it better, and then it just kept getting worse. I don't know. But you tell me, is this totally weird and creepy? Did I sort of pull it together in the end? Let me know what you think. So all I did was wrap this twine around a bunch of times. I didn't want it to be solid like the other one, though I probably would have been better off had I let it be solid like the other one. Maybe I can always go back and do that, but it is what it is. I think this may have worked better also if I had used larger dowels, maybe. The ones that I got at the Dollar Tree were kind of just like a one size. That's it. That's all they had at my store anyway. I don't know if they come in other sizes, and they're fairly short. So maybe if I found longer dowels, that would work. All right, in an attempt to make this look less freaky, I decided to add some greenery, hoping that that would kind of round things out, make it a little more nature rustic and a little less voodoo doll-esque. So I'm taking this bag of tiny little pine cones that I got at the Dollar Tree, and these little stems, they came off of a floral pick that I got from Dollar Tree as well, and the berries. So I'm just kind of using my wire cutters and snipping off little bits of the greenery, and same with the berries, hot gluing them on and just sort of like tucking them into place where I want them to go. I think this helped make it look less creepy, but I don't think I'm 100% sold. I don't know. Again, you guys tell me what you think. So just finishing up doing all of my hot glue, and that literally is it. That's all there is to this ornament. It is what it is. Not my favorite, but I wanted to keep it in just in case it inspires you to create something else. Maybe not this exactly, but something. I don't know. So moving on to the next DIY, this is going to be a pillow, you guys. As soon as I saw this, like, I guess they're calling it a tapestry placemat, whatever. As soon as I saw this placemat, I was like, oh my gosh, this would make the cutest little pillow. And you see these designer pillows everywhere. They're super expensive, and they are the same material on the front. So I decided to grab a microfiber towel or cloth from the automotive aisle where all the car junk is. This is me not knowing what the heck I was doing. You're supposed to put the right sides together, meaning the pretty sides that you want to be on the outside when you're finished. You put them facing together on the inside, and then you're gonna either sew it, or in my case, I just hot glued it just so you guys could see that you could do that. But you could do it either way. I might make another one where I sew it just because it would be a little neater if I did it that way. But the hot glue definitely worked, and it's holding up so far. I'll let you know down the road if my kids destroy it. But so far, so good. So I'm just using a little rotary blade that I have. I usually just keep it over with my sewing machine stuff. And I'm cutting off the excess fabric. You do want them to be about the same size so that you don't have a bunch of extra fabric on the inside. So I'm using my hot glue gun, going around the outer edge of all of these just to get that outer edge connected. You don't want to connect any of the inside, just that outer edge. As you go around, you can kind of adjust the fabric to make sure that everything is lining up the right way. Sorry that a lot of this is out of frame. I did not realize that my camera and everything was kind of like off and I wasn't catching some of it. Sorry. All right, so what we're going to do is keep going with the hot glue all the way around. You can start at one corner, you can start wherever you want, really. But once you get to the end, just make sure that you leave a gap, probably around 4 or 5 inches, that you don't hot glue. So leave an opening. And the reason you want to leave an opening is because you are going to turn this inside out using that opening. If you close it, like if you don't leave yourself an opening, then you won't be able to turn it inside out and you'll just have an inside flat pillowcase placemat thing. So you do need to make sure you leave that opening. Now I'm just going around the outside, trimming off the excess bits again where I kind of measured wrong. I didn't need the entire towel, obviously. It was larger than my placemat, so that's why I'm cutting off the excess. Once you're done with that, make sure your hot glue is nice and dry, and then you're going to go ahead and flip it inside out. So you're like legitimately just pulling the insides to the outside. You're turning it right side out. So I'm just stuffing all of that through that tiny hole. So this is why you want to make sure you leave yourself a good amount of space, and also make sure that your hot glue is dry, because if it's not, then it's just going to pull apart and it's going to make it really difficult. I used one of those dowels to help me poke out the corners because they can be kind of tricky to get to turn right side out. That really helped, and I was really happy with that. All right, so for the last thing, all you're going to do is stuff it. So you're going to put a whole bunch of filling inside. I picked up this big bag for like $3 and some change from Walmart. You can get it pretty much at any other craft stores. All right, here we go. Warp speed filling the pillow. You can add as little or as much stuffing as you want. I packed mine fairly full, but not like bursting. And then once I was done putting all of the stuffing that I wanted in, I kind of shoved it a little farther in there. And then you're just going to kind of turn in the edges. You fold them in, both the top and the bottom piece, so both the placemat and the microfiber cloth, so that they kind of I don't even know what this term is called, but you basically fold them in and then hot glue the inside piece so that you have a finished edge. If you glue them flat against each other, there'll be this like weird puckered edge on the side. So you just fold each one in so it lines up with the line of the rest of your pillow, and then just stick the hot glue in there and call it a day. So be very careful when you're doing this because it's very easy to burn yourself. I definitely, have experience with that. But yeah, so just be careful, and then that's it. Super easy pillow, looks like designer quality, and you are all done. All right, you guys, that finishes off all 4 of our DIYs today. Let me know in the comments which one is your favorite and if you're going to be trying out any of the ones that we went over today. Also, drop me a comment if there's anything you'd like to see me create in the future. I'm always looking for ideas and new video content, so definitely drop me suggestions if there's things that you'd like to see. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this, and I'll see you guys again in another video really soon.